I know we just had snow on the ground a couple days ago, but spring is here. The spring housing market is here. Let's get into it. Hey, what's happening, guys? Derek here from M1 Realty. I'm the broker, owner, founder of the company. Started in 2014, just myself and a laptop up on the third floor of an office suite here in Ferndale, Michigan. Fast forward almost 10 years, and we've got the largest, biggest, baddest real estate company in the city of Ferndale. And I've got an all-star team of agents. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, invest, rent, whatever you need, we've got you covered. We even do property management now. So we made it into spring. The real estate market nationally as well as locally has been kind of topsy-turvy all over the place. So we're going to try and make a little sense out of it. I'm going to let you know what I think you can expect moving forward here for the next few months in the market. And, we'll just kind of go from there. And there hasn't really been a normal housing market since before COVID, really. So, when in 2020, the beginning of the year, things were shaping up to be pretty busy. COVID happened. Actually, obviously everything ground to a halt for a couple months. And then after that, it was just like lights out, crazy, super busy out of nowhere. And then the last couple years, the 3 years after that, have been progressively trickier and trickier. Mostly for buyers. It's been awesome for sellers because prices have just kept going up, and every sale was multiple offers, so you're getting way more for your home than you would in a quote unquote normal market. And now there's 2024, so things are slowly coming back to normal. So let's talk about what that means. For several reasons, the past few years have been really low inventory years, just like almost historically low. Just so few people putting their homes on the market for multiple different reasons. And now we're starting to see that kind of loosen up a little bit. So far, year to date, we're up about 13% nationally in terms of homes on the market compared to last year. That's held pretty steady. It's been bounced between 12 and 13% all year. And now we're to the end of March, so we've got a pretty decent sample size. I don't expect that to change. I mean, I think that if anything, it's going to continue, and if anything, we're going to see more homes hit the market later on this year. But I'm pretty confident we're not going to see a repeat of the last few years with super low inventory. Now, 13% over what we had last year. It sounds like a pretty big increase, and it is. But in terms of raw numbers, it's just, we could probably have a 30% increase and still, and that would bring us about to where we would normally be in the grand scheme of things, like at least before COVID. So, we'll take 1%. Every little bit of inventory helps both buyers and sellers, and we'll take what we can get here. But we'll break that down a little bit, what that increased inventory means. And talk about how it'll affect you. Another factor that's super important to the housing market that we want to talk about first is mortgage rates, which if you watch this channel with any regularity, I talk about it almost every video. But we saw, like, literally for going on 2 years now, almost exactly 2 years, that's when the Fed started raising rates because to kind of combat inflation. So that's that's been the story of the last couple of years was mortgage rates were going up and up and up and up and up. And last November is where they peaked. They barely kind of brushed up against 8%, and then started coming down. And when they started coming down, they came down in a hurry. We dropped from 8 to about 7.5, within the span of about a month and a half, and they've continued to go down. The past 6 weeks or so, they've just kind of been holding steady though. They've been just kind of bouncing around between 6.5% and 7%. And the good news is I don't really expect them to go higher, but and they will start decreasing, but it's just a matter of when. Now, as far as a 30-year fixed rate conventional mortgage goes, about the average right now as far as rates go is 6.79%. Now, that's massively higher than it was 3 years ago, but it's also quite a bit lower than it was just 6 months ago. So that's good news. We're kind of in a range now with mortgage rates that, you know, they're not, for most people, for most buyers, that's not going to hinder somebody from buying a property. So yes, your more of your monthly payment is going towards interest. It is what it is. We do expect rates to start, you know, continue to come down over the course of like the next, actually they're not predicting like over the next course of the next 2 years, we're going to continue to see rates fall. So all that means is when you get into a home now, that's the most you're ever going to pay for it on a monthly payment. So as rates continue to fall, when they get to to a level where it makes sense, you can always refinance, lower your monthly payment. You could do, I mean, you could even, if you have enough equity in your home, you can roll other bills into your payment when you refinance. You can pay off cars, you can pay off, you know, home improvement loans, you name it, credit cards, you name it, you can do that. So, so it's not a terrible idea to, you know, just keep an eye on where rates are, and when they fall to a level that makes sense for you, you can just kind of consolidate all your payments into one monthly payment. That works for most people anyway. And obviously don't quote me on that rate, because there's a bunch of different factors that go into it. I mean, obviously your credit score is going to have a significant impact on what your mortgage rate is going to be. The amount that you're putting down, your monthly income, the amount of reserves that you have in the bank, all that stuff plays into it. So the number of credit lines that you have currently. So, you know, if you have questions about it, my best advice is to consult a trusted loan officer. And I've got some really good ones if you are interested. So just let me know and I'll take care of you there. And, you know, when I say I expect rates to continue to come down throughout the course of the next 2 years, what I'm talking about is right now they're kind of priced in. You know, the Fed started raising rates, you know, meeting after meeting after meeting, and that is, you know, basically forcing interest rates to become higher. That's to combat inflation. So now we've got a handle-ish on inflation. It's a little bit higher than the Fed's, you know, target 2% year-over-year rate. I think we're at about 3.13% if I'm not mistaken. But for the most part, like, we were at 9% like a year ago. So we've mostly gotten a handle on inflation. It's getting to the point now where it's semi under control. So I think what you're going to start seeing is, you know, the Fed's been trying to cool the economy. The economy apparently doesn't want to be cooled. So that's why inflation is still kind of lingering a little bit. But I think we're going to start seeing rate cuts here and there. They're going to probably start with, I'm guessing, like a quarter percent decrease in the Fed's rate, which is going to bring down mortgage rates correspondingly. So, you know, they're going to do that. Then they're probably going to wait like a month or two, see what happens with inflation before they decide to, you know, to change rates again. That would be my guess. Who knows what they're actually going to do, and a lot of it depends on what happens with the economy, and I don't have a crystal ball. But at any rate, so between those two factors, with increased inventory and lower mortgage rates, what does that mean for buyers and sellers right now in spring of 2024? So let's start from a buyer's perspective. You're going to have more choice in the homes that you have to look at. So you know, we've seen days on market too, and that kind of, this all ties in. You know, if this was a year ago, like our average days on market was like 10 days, 11 days, 12 days. Some cities were like under 10, like 8, 9 days on average between the time a house went on the market and when it sold. And, you know, if that's the average, you know, the really nice houses are selling in a day or two. So now our average days on market is, you know, over 30 right now for sure. It's like almost 60 in some of the cities that we monitor every month. And all that really means is, as a consumer, you have more homes to look at. You can take more time to make your decision. You can view more homes before you find the one that you want to write an offer on. It's a little bit less stressful and intense. You don't have to pull out all the stops and just cross your fingers and pray that you get your offer accepted. It also means fewer multiple offer situations. So, you know, if this is like 2 or 3, like 3 years ago, oh my God, like this time of year, if you found a house that you really liked, so did about 37 other buyers, and literally a house would come on the market, you would have to be there. There'd be cars parked down the street. There'd be people waiting on the sidewalk and in the driveway for their chance to go in and look at the house. You know, on the listing side, I was loving it. It was awesome. I was like raking in money for my sellers. But on the buyer side, it was stressful. Like, that's incredibly difficult to get a home under contract when you're going up against that much competition. You know, and you know, you always want to keep one eye on making sure that you don't overpay for a house, because it still has to appraise. So that was like appraisal guarantees were coming into play. You know, just all waiving inspections, which I never recommend doing. Just no contingencies, like going way over asking price with appraisal guarantees, and it's just not. That's not something that's in your best interest as a buyer to ever have to do. So, you know, I've always said, I don't care if you have to lose out on 10 houses, don't waive that inspection, because on that 11th one, maybe you get it under contract, and you know, what if there's some hidden defect that we missed? You know, I'm pretty good about finding any little hidden red flags and things in a house, but I'm not a home inspector. You know, I don't sit there at each showing for an hour and a half and like just go over every single tiny detail in a home. So things are going to be, you know, that's why we have an inspection. And if I miss it, you almost certainly will miss it as a buyer who hasn't been in 100,000 houses in their lifetime, you know. So yeah, so I guess long story short, those crazy times are hopefully behind us, at least for the time being. I'm expecting the really nice homes that are priced appropriately, marketed right, they show right. Those are still going to probably be multiple offer situations. It's going to be pretty impossible to avoid those in a market where we have as low of inventory as we do, even though it's more than it has been. You know, the really nice houses are still going to attract multiple offers, so just be ready for it. But you know, I would my best advice is be ready the first day you look at a house to go in and write a full price offer on a home, if it's one that you like and you can see yourself living in. Don't do it just to do it, but you know, be ready to, I guess, be flexible. Be ready to take your time, casually, you know, wait for that right house to come on the market. But when that happens, you have to be there with a strong offer, because I'm expecting, you know, the really nice houses that are a good fit for you are also going to be a good fit for somebody else, and you're better off getting those locked in, get that under contract before somebody else sees it too, and then writes a competing offer. Now on the seller side, I got good news for you. It's still a seller's market. Like 66 days on the market is more than you'd like to see from a seller's perspective, but the fact that inventory is way up and it's still way less inventory than we'd see in a typical year of home sales is a good sign for you. You know, you're still driving the bus, but you know, we kind of have to put a little bit more effort into our listing than we maybe would have had to a couple years ago. Now, I've always had the philosophy that I don't see the sense in you know, if you're selling a home and dumping a whole bunch of money into a home that you don't plan on living in anymore. To me, it doesn't make any sense to drop 20 grand into your, you know, primary bathroom just to get, you know, 21 grand out when you sell the house. So that being said, I 100% believe that it's a great idea to spend a few $100 before you go on the market and create a really good first impression for your home. I'm talking, you know, go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards or wherever, the garden center, get some nice flowers, some mulch, just freshen up the exterior of your home, maybe a coat of paint if you have some like wood, you know, rotten wood trim or things like that, any dry rot, get that handled. Because of buyers, they're going to know in the first like 30 seconds to about a minute of pulling up to your home, walking in the front door, if that's a place they can see themselves living in or not. So we want to do everything that we can in our power to create that wonderful first impression when buyers walk in the first time. you're also going to want to make sure that the home's always in the condition to be shown. That means, you know, making sure there's no dishes in the sink, make sure there's no, you know, socks laying on the floor, make sure the beds are made. You know, like, you never know in this market when, you know, maybe somebody's out looking with their agent and they look at 2 houses down the street, and as they're driving by, they see the sign in your yard, hey, I want to see that home too. We need to be able to get buyers in, like, on a moment's notice whenever they're ready. So, you know, it's I always tell my sellers, if I've listed a house for you, I'm sure you've heard this before. My job, if I'm doing it right, is to make your life very, very inconvenient for a very, very short amount of time. So I want to have 50 showings that first two days on the market, that first weekend that we're on the market. I want to get all of humanity through your home, because that's the best way to get it sold for the highest possible price in the shortest amount of time. We're also going to have to pay a little bit more attention to price. I mean, I'm not going to lie, the past few years, it almost didn't matter what price you put your house on the market at. You could just, like, throw a number up there, so you're going to find somebody to pay for it. But this year's a little different. There's a little bit more negotiating going on. Homes that are taking a little longer to sell. One of your options as a seller could be a price reduction. So I would still, you know, depending on the house, every home is different, so every scenario is different. But generally speaking, what I've been finding is it's not impossible, you know, it's not a bad idea to price it at the high end of that price range. And then, you know, if you're just not getting the kind of traffic that you want from buyers, then you can start bumping the price down a little bit. But usually if we do it that way, you're not going to have to. You're going to get that offer or those offers in prior to having to adjust the price. But really what it all boils down to is presentation, promotion, and price. If your home is presented the right way, like I said, if it's always in a condition where you're ready for that buyer to ring the doorbell and say, hey, can I come and see your home, to let them do that. Promotion, that's 100% my job. So if you're watching this channel, odds are you know what I do to market homes, and you know that I pull out all the stops. I throw everything at the wall, because I don't care what sticks as long as something does to get your home sold. And then price, I mean, it's just flat out, it's just take it to the bank. You know, the homes that are priced appropriately sell quicker, they sell faster, there's less hassle for everybody involved. So you do those 3 P's, you're going to have a successful outcome as a home seller. And then the last factor that I've started to get a couple calls and emails and people asking me about is this proposed settlement with National Association of Realtors. Like, how is that going to affect me as a buyer or affect me as a seller? And I'm kind of holding off commenting on that, because right now that's all it is a proposed settlement. Like, nothing is written in stone. Nothing has been accepted. The Department of Justice has to approve it. They've already turned down 2 other settlements that I know of. So, you know, until I know what to tell you, anybody that tells you they know what's going to happen is lying to you anyway, because nobody knows, because nothing's even been approved. Once it gets approved, then we can start kind of guesstimating how things are going to work. But until then, beats me. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is for sure going to happen, that's for sure going to happen. I've got some ideas of how things would happen under the settlement, but like I said, it's proposed, and it's nothing yet. So until we have something, you know, at that point, this probably what every video for the next month after that's going to be about. But until then, that's all I really have to tell you at the moment. So if you did have any other questions that I didn't get to, or want to know a little bit more about the market, or just really anything else real estate related, you can always reach out to me, call or text anytime. My direct line is 586-491-5622. You can also reach me at 248-561-6155. Shoot me an email, dwerenka@m1realty.net. Other than that, all the social media platforms, I'm on all of them. So if you want to DM, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it, I'm on it. So again, thank you so much for watching this, guys. I'm super excited for this spring. I think it's going to be a very busy few months. If the winter's been any indication at all, we had a super busy winter, which, you know, is a busy day in February is a slow day in June, but we'll take it. And yeah, I think you know, it seems like this market is working out well for buyers. It's still working out well for sellers, and that's the best anybody can ask. Like, nobody's getting screwed by this market, which is the way that I like it. And until next week, thank you so much, guys. Look forward to speaking with you again. Reach out if there's anything I can do for you, and we'll talk soon. Thanks.